Powered by Riverside FM.
How do the Minnesota Vikings stack up within their division going into the offseason and with their NFC rivals? See, I think this free agency period and this off-season period is crucial for the purple. It is absolutely crucial for the purple. And sometimes you get lost on who the Vikings should be signing. I want this guy. But what also matters is what the other people in your conference and what the other people in your division are doing. The Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion, are at a fork in the road. Like they're coming in next year with all intents and purposes, unless something astronomical happens, J.J. McCarthy is going to be your quarterback, and he will essentially be a rookie. Even though he was on the roster last year, really didn't get a chance to play one preseason game. Looked pretty damn good in that preseason game, but really didn't get a chance to get a lot of physical work under his belt because of his injury. So you have to ask yourself, it's not necessarily the signing and the draft picks of the Minnesota Vikings, but what is everybody else doing within your division? I have to look at the Chicago Bears and their signing of Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson to bolster their offensive line, to give Caleb Williams more time to protect Caleb Williams, to help bolster their running game. And I believe that the Chicago Bears are going to go running back at some point in this quarterback-rich draft. So the Chicago Bears are going to be better. There were people out there, content creators, national sport media guys that were talking about the Chicago Bears in the same breath as appearing in the Super Bowl, going up against the Chiefs at the beginning of the year. You guys remember that. Those people ran and hid. They ran and hid during the middle of the season, and you couldn't find them at the end of the season. But the Chicago Bears were getting a lot of notoriety, a lot of love from the national media. Caleb Williams starting at quarterback. Everybody thought things were going to be different for the Chicago Bears, and it turned out that it wasn't, because they just didn't have the offensive line play to sustain anything. But they've gone out and they have bolstered their offensive line. Now, the best news that I've heard is not just because I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, but Myles Garrett is off the market. He is the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And my fear was, I knew the Minnesota Vikings wasn't necessarily players in that. I would have loved for the Minnesota Vikings to bring Myles Garrett on, but he really doesn't fit the scheme. My fear was that he was going to end up with the Lions, with the Bears, and dare I say, the Green Bay Packers. So with him being off the market now, he's obviously not going to end up in those places. See, it's all about what your NFC rivals are doing as well when you're going into this free agent period. If you are not in on one guy that can make a difference on one of those other three teams, that's not good either. So you have to weigh and you have to balance that as well. The Detroit Lions are going to be in financial hell in the next 2 years, but they still have a little bit of money. They still have a little bit of flexibility to be able to add some pieces to make another run next season. I do think losing their coordinators is going to hurt them tremendously. It's just going to be a whole different feel, a whole different philosophy. It's just going to be different for the Detroit Lions. That is not going to be an easy fix. That is not something that you're going to be able to gloss over, Detroit Lion fans. Losing your coordinators, your team is not necessarily going to be the same. But the fact that they could go out and add talent, the fact that they were entertaining possibly trying to trade for a Myles Garrett is scary, because their roster has a plethora of talented players right now, and they still have a little bit of money going into 2025-26 where they can add some pieces. Their window they know is closing. I think the window is shut. I'm not saying they have no chance, but not winning last year, their chances now are dwindling, especially because of attrition. You're losing coaches, you're losing coordinators. You got to get it done right now. When you miss those opportunities to do it right now, you're kicking the can down the road and you're looking at next year. The Lions, if they can add pieces that are going to get them over the hump next year, I think it may take a while for the Lions to get back. Even though the salary cap is going up, the Lions are going to have some issues because they handed out a bunch of big contracts. The Lions are going to have a lot of issues in terms of finances in the next 2 to 3 years. That's just the reality of it. Again, it's not about what the Minnesota Vikings are doing. It's about what their rivals and what people are doing within the division. You got to think about that also. The Green Bay Packers, they gave Jordan Love the bag. And I'm telling you right now, the kiss of death is giving these quarterbacks who are mediocre and not difference makers these big contracts. It just handcuffs you. It has been shown and it has been proven that the formula does not work. That is why J.J. McCarthy and his contract is so attractive. He is still under that rookie contract. And UP Nation, Minnesota Vikings Nation, Skull Nation, that is so important. Don't underestimate that. It is why I want J.J. McCarthy as our starting quarterback along with his talent. It is the total package. You start messing around with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, what do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to come in here for? He may say or do the right things to try to get signed, because I do think the Minnesota Vikings are his best shot to get what he wants to get done. But, man, you start messing around with those type of contracts, it takes away other areas where you can build. That's just fact. That's just fact. That's why I love the J.J. McCarthy contract. The Green Bay Packers now, they've doled out the money from Jordan Love. And I tell Green Bay Packer fans this all the time, whether they write in on the UP or I talk to them at work, talk to a lot of Packer fans, obviously being based here in Wisconsin. I say to them, you gave Jordan Love the bag, $55 million, you better be right. You better be right about that money, because you're going to have to pay Jordan Love, and it's going to take away from other areas of your team. You're not going to be able to be big players in the free agent market, although the Packers' history has shown that they haven't been really big players in the free agent market anyway. They've done it through the draft. The biggest free agent that I can remember the Packers ever bringing in was Reggie White. They just traditionally have not been big players in the free agent market. They've always done it through development. They've always done it through the draft. Are the teams in the NFC North getting better? The Minnesota Vikings are in a great spot. The move that they're going to make the moves, whatever moves they make. But you have to watch and see what their rivals are doing within the division and within the conference. That makes a difference as well. I was so worried that a guy like Myles Garrett was going to end up with the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, or the Chicago Bears. And now that the Cleveland Browns have given him the bag, that's a lot of relief for me, because I didn't want to see that guy end up with one of those teams, especially the Detroit Lions with Hutchinson already there. Oh, my God, you're talking about two evil bookends that would be able to get after the quarterback. Even though Aaron Glenn has gone to the Jets, that defense is still going to be formidable. It's going to be interesting to see what the Minnesota Vikings do in free agency. This is the UP Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It just takes a second. It takes a second, if you like the content, to just hit that like button. Please consider becoming a member. Those that choose to become a member will be entered into a drawing to win a Minnesota Vikings Winter Warrior jersey. This has been Unconventional Playbook. We're going to keep hitting you with the content. And as always, we're going to make sure to see you when we see you. Until next time, UP Nation.